Everyone thinks getting shredded requires extreme diets, 2 hour long workouts, and suffering for months. But the truth is, I got leaner, stronger, and way more consistent when I stopped focusing on big changes and instead started obsessing over tiny daily micro habits. These are the small behaviors almost no one talks about that quietly control your body fat levels. And today, I'm going to break down the exact micro habits that help me run 6 marathons, step on 3 bodybuilding stages, compete in 2 high-rocks competitions, and help hundreds of busy, career-driven men lose 30 to 50 pounds without sacrificing their favorite foods or spending hours in the gym. And by the end of this video, you'll have a list of simple habits that keep on compounding month after month, year after year into effortless fat loss. And I'll break this down into 3 specific categories. Number 1, movement micro habits. Number 2, nutrition micro habits. And number 3, recovery micro habits. I'll share the science, some client examples, and personal lessons for each of them. Now, before we get into it, be sure to go join my free fat loss group. The link will be in the description, where I basically have a bunch of free courses, PDFs, ebooks, recipe cookbooks, protein cookbooks, like a lot of, and then courses too, a lot of free stuff basically to help you start your fitness journey, all while doing it with a bunch of other people. We have around 3,000 members inside, so be sure to go join. The link will be in the description. So starting with point number 1, movement micro habits. These are almost like the invisible calorie burners. And the first one is walk after every meal. Now, this may sound very basic, but almost no one does it consistently. Research shows that post-meal walking improves glucose disposal and reduces insulin spikes, which can influence fat storage over time. And now, personally, one of the biggest differences between my off-season and prep conditioning was in cardio sessions. It was simply walking 5 to 10 minutes after every single meal. I also had busy clients who plateaued for weeks. And now we didn't just suddenly panic and like change his calories. Like, no, we just added 3 post-meal walks. And guess what? He dropped 4 pounds in 3 weeks because NEAT. And I talk about this almost every single video. Your non-exercise activity thermogenesis drives energy expenditure way more than formal cardio for most people. And you got to think about it. A quick 5 to 10 minute walk, it's easy. And because it is easy, it is also easy to skip. But if you just keep on doing this, like I said at the start, these things can compound and can definitely add up to thousands of extra steps throughout the day. And those thousands extra steps, guess what? Can help you burn tens of hundreds extra calories all throughout the day. And if you do that over a weekly basis, that's thousands of extra calories burned throughout the day. Over a monthly basis, yearly basis, that can help you lose 1 to 2 pounds a week every single week for the year. Just by this one small little micro habit. Moving on to number 2, default movement triggers. Now, instead of scheduling specific formal cardio, attach movement to existing behaviors. This is one of the cheat codes that I started doing without even thinking about it. And now that I've kind of realized what I have been doing, I teach this to all my clients because it is such a game changer. It is literally a hack. So look at what you're currently doing and ask yourself this question. Could I combine walking or movement with this activity? So for example, a phone call. Instead of sitting down on the couch, on a chair, calling someone for 30, 40, an hour, whatever, could you be doing that while maybe walking around, pacing around your apartment, pacing around the office, walking up and down the hallway, walking outside maybe, at the park, around the block? So phone call, turn that into walking. If you listen to a podcast, do it while walking on a treadmill. If you happen to have a walking pad at home, whenever you watch TV, instead of just sitting on the couch, do it while walking, right? And then lastly, coffee. If you want to sip on a coffee, have a coffee, turn that into like a coffee walk, a sunlight walk, because behavioral science shows habit stacking habits on top of one another dramatically increases adherence. And this is why people who don't do any specific form of cardio, but stay active, remain lean. Literally all of my friends, most of them, I would say, they don't really do what I do in terms of like, they don't run marathons. They don't do any specific form of cardio, but they're in phenomenal shape year round. And that is because they combine so many of their activities with just walking. Hop on a call, walking. Listen to a podcast, walking. Watch a YouTube video, walking. Do anything that you could do while walking, they do it while walking. So get creative here, right? It is such a powerful thing. And I literally make rules to myself where, and this is kind of amazing, whenever I want to listen to a podcast, and I love listening to podcasts. I love different genres, different topics. It could be fitness related. It could be about social media. It could be about personal branding. It could be about business. It could be about money, the stock market, investments. Like I geek out over all that stuff. And so whenever I find a podcast that like I really want to listen to, which is pretty much on a daily basis, I make a rule to myself that I can only listen to this podcast when I'm either outside walking or on the treadmill. That is the only way that I can listen to a podcast. And so what this allows me to do is that whenever I do go on a walk or do go on a podcast or do go on a run, I immediately get rewarded for being active by getting to listen to this podcast now. How powerful is that? And you could apply this to you as well. If you maybe don't like listening to podcasts, maybe you like listening to audiobooks and you really want to listen to this audiobook, make a rule to yourself that you can only listen to it while you're being active, while you're doing your workout, while you're just doing something proactive, maybe while you're doing the chores, doing the dishes, running errands, just some type of movement, right? Like we live in this world where, yeah, we can kind of combine these things, stack habits on top of one another, which is such a powerful thing, right? So if you can start doing that, you'll be burning fat while learning something new. And yeah, you pretty much get to kill a couple birds with one stone. And especially like for me, like during the summertime, I'll take off my shirt, I'll listen to a podcast, I'll go on a run, go on a walk, get some vitamin D, work on my tan, learn something new, and burn calories. So literally 4 birds were killed with just one stone. Now, not literally, I would never kill a bird. And even if I tried to, that'd be really impressive. Imagine killing 4 birds with one stone. But anyway, besides the point. Moving on to habits, micro habit number 3, sit break timer. Here's the thing, prolonged sitting. And this is specifically relevant for a lot of desk workers who work at a desk all day. But if you sit for too long, it decreases lipoprotein lipase activity, which basically impacts fat metabolism. So I use a really simple rule. For every hour that I sit down, I stand up and move for like 1 to 2 minutes. I'll shake out my legs, I'll walk around a bit, pretty much like whenever I'm done eating, like a 5 to 10 minutes, shake out, walk if I can. This tiny habit has a huge metabolic effect over months. And now you got to keep in mind that all these things that I'm talking about right now will not change your life overnight, which is why they're called tiny micro habits. They're not sexy. They're not going to change your life instantly, but done consistently over months and years, it's allowed me and my clients to get lean and stay lean year round without having to suffer really, because once these habits, these tiny ones are dialed in and kind of like turned into an actual habit, guess what that means? It means that it's automatic. It's part of your routine. It's part of your lifestyle. So you don't really have to think about it, right? Like I run on autopilot for most things that I do in terms of fitness. Like I don't think twice about going into the gym. I don't think twice about eating. I don't think twice or eating healthy. I don't think twice about going on my walks, doing my cardio, because it's part of my identity. It is ingrained in my lifestyle. And once you get to that point, fat loss, losing body fat and keeping it off literally becomes automatic, right? And if this video is helpful so far, be sure to go subscribe, because most fat loss advice ignores these behavioral layers. Now let's move over to point number 2, nutrition micro habits. We just talked about movement, burning extra calories, but as we all know, You could be moving as much as you want, but if you're eating like a pig, if you're still eating more calories than you burn on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis, you will remain fat, unfortunately. So let's talk about the appetite control system. Microhabit number 4, protein anchor your meals. Instead of chasing macros all day, anchor every meal with protein first. This leverages protein's satiety effect because meta-analysis, which is like a big kind of group of studies combined together, consistently shows that higher protein diets increases your fullness, preserves lean muscle during fat loss. So I don't ask clients to diet harder. And instead, what I ask them is, what's the protein in this meal? Everything else becomes easier. So make a rule to yourself right now. As soon as you're done watching, moving forward for the rest of your life, every meal needs to have protein. If it doesn't have protein, it is not considered a meal. You are an adult. Eat like an adult. Eat your protein. Chicken, beef, steak, eggs, egg whites, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, low-fat milk. Protein shakes, protein bars are also totally fine. But I guarantee you, everything else will become much, much easier if you consistently eat more protein for your meals and or for your snacks. Micro habit 5, first bite pause. So this one is extremely underrated. Once you have your protein anchored meal, right? You've made your meal, you got protein, take one bite and then pause. Assess your hunger. It sounds very silly, but it disrupts autopilot eating. This also goes into eating mindfully, not mindlessly, but mindfully. How often have you eaten a meal while watching a YouTube video, while distracting yourself? You're watching a video and you're just like eating and eating and eating and eating. And then before you know it, boom, the meal's gone. And you weren't fully present. And it may not seem like a huge deal, but the more present you can be whenever you eat, the more you get to actually savor every bite and experience the entire experience of eating. And this could actually make you a lot more satiated after eating, as opposed to like eating it and then like not really paying attention to it. Your hunger signals are going to be like, did we even eat something? Or like, are we still hungry? It didn't really seem like we ate anything because we were distracted. We were watching a video. And so the more mindfully you can eat, the more satiated you will feel. This is something that I used to do all the time. I'd watch, like, it got really weird. Like during my bodybuilding preps, I wouldn't start eating until I found the perfect YouTube video to watch. And it got so extreme where like I would literally sit there for 5 to 10 minutes browsing through YouTube, searching for the perfect video. And before you know, like my meal got cold, and it just took away from the experience of like just being able to just be fully present, enjoy the meal that is in front of you, and enjoy every single bite and being able to savor every single bite. Because once I finally did find the video, like I started watching it and then I started eating and eating and eating. And then like before you know it, the meal was gone. And I'm like, wow, like the meal is gone. And I was really looking forward to this meal. I prepared it. I just made it really nice. And then I didn't really get to fully experience it. So if you can start moving forward, just like eating your meals and being fully present while doing it, I think that'll make a huge difference in your satiety as well. And another thing I've been doing is just being thankful for my meals. I'm not super religious. I don't really talk much about religion on my channel because it's more of a personal thing. But one thing I have started to do is just like thanking myself and just like thanking like the universe or whoever your God is, basically like thanking it for like the meal that you're about to eat. And I just think taking that split second before indulging in something just really makes you appreciate the meal a whole lot more. And I've been doing this very consistently, like before every single meal, whether I'm at home with my friends at a restaurant, I just take a second to just really like thank it. And yeah, it just makes me a lot more appreciative of the meal that's in front of me. And so, like I said, it sounds silly, but it can really disrupt your autopilot eating. And mindful eating research shows that slower eating speeds up or improves your satiety signaling. And now, personally, this micro habit alone reduced my tendency to overeat, specifically on calorie-dense foods. So moving on to micro habit number 6, volume default swaps. So A lot of people think that in order to lose body fat, you have to remove certain foods from your diet. You have to just like punish yourself with like, yeah, no more pizza and only lettuce and salads and green foods. But here's the thing. Instead of removing foods, defaults to higher volume versions of it. So you can actually eat more while losing more fat, which sounds a bit backwards. It's like, Conan, what are you talking about? In order to lose body fat, you have to be in a calorie deficit. And yes, that is true. But a lot of people view being in a calorie deficit as eating little food. But if you do this properly, and that is why all of our clients succeed, and that's why I've accomplished doing 3 bodybuilding shows, 3 bodybuilding preps, getting down to extreme body fat levels, doing this exact thing. So instead of like, I'll give you a prime example. Instead of eating rice, which I have a lot of beef with rice. Like, I'm not a big fan of rice, especially during fat loss. Gives you, it's almost the closest thing to like an empty calorie. It's a great source of carbs. If you have a hard time getting enough carbs in, enough food down, it's an easy way to get in extra calories. But if your goal is fat loss and you're always hungry, eating rice, it just won't fill you up. It won't give you any nutritional value. It gives you no fiber, no vitamins, no micronutrients, just plain carbs. Now, if you were to replace that with a big bowl of vegetables, lettuce, salads, or even like fruits, berries, you get a ton more volume. You get a ton more fiber, a ton more micronutrients, a ton more of everything. And it's going to keep you a lot more fuller compared to eating this small little portion of rice. So once again, eat your berries instead of rice or dried fruit, for example. Swap your French fries for boiled potatoes, and swap your ice cream for Greek yogurts. So instead of eliminating foods, ask yourself, where can I substitute these types of foods? You get the same texture, same consistency, same flavor, same experience for far fewer calories and a lot more volume. So if you can start volumizing your meals a whole lot more, you won't really feel like you're dieting. It'll literally feel like the opposite. It's like, well, am I actually on a diet? You're like, wow, I'm able to eat all this volume of food while losing fat. And yes, you very much can. So think about volumizing your meals instead of like shrinking your meals and eliminating foods altogether. Now, one client of ours lost 38 pounds while still eating tacos weekly because his daily defaults were high satiety foods. So once again, fat loss isn't about restriction. It is more about environmental defaults. Now let's talk about some recovery microhabits. These are the hormonal advantages. Microhabit number 7, morning light before screen light. Your circadian research shows morning light exposure anchors sleep timing and improves hormonal regulation. Now, I implement sunlight walks before my phone use. So before even thinking about opening up your phone, watching the news, and getting bombarded by all this dopamine and all this stress and panic, don't do that. Try your best to view some natural sunlight first. It doesn't have to be a walk necessarily, but just at the very least, open up your blinds, open up the window, get some fresh air, and just look as closely as you can towards the sun. If it's not sunny, just stare into the clouds, but get some direct sunlight into your eyes because that's going to send a signal to your brain, your circadian rhythm, which is your body's biological clock, to signal that, hey, it is daytime. It is time to wake up. And if you can get this from natural sunlight over artificial sunlight, it's going to be far, far, far more superior for you. Now, I implemented this and my sleep quality improved, my cravings decreased, and my consistency improved. This is a leverage point that most people ignore. Moving on to the 8th micro habit, caffeine cutoff rule. A lot of people don't notice, but caffeine has a half-life of 6 hours. And so what does that mean? It means that it has a quarter life of 12 hours. So if you were to consume a 300 milligram beverage of caffeine at noon, at 6 p.m., you'd have half of that still in your system, 150 milligrams. And at midnight, 12 hours later, guess what? That 300 milligrams of caffeine that you had at noon, you're going to have roughly around 75 milligrams of caffeine still in your system at midnight when you're supposed to be in bed, when you're supposed to be sleeping. And so if you have a hard time falling asleep every single night, but you're downing caffeine way past noon, this could be the reason why it is affecting your sleep. And it's not just the sleep that it's affecting, because once your sleep gets impaired, your fat loss stalls, your muscle growth stalls. And if anything, it'll start to reverse. Studies have shown that if you're sleep deprived, if you're not getting enough sleep, at least 7 to 9 hours, your risk of gaining more body fat and losing muscle mass, despite, this is the scary part, despite still being in a calorie deficit, is much, much higher. And that sucks. You are doing the hard work. You're doing all these micro habits. You're getting your steps in. You're burning calories. You're doing your workouts. You're eating less calories than you burn. You're in a calorie deficit. You're volumizing your meals. But then you neglect your sleep and you tell yourself sleep is for the weak. Oh, I'll sleep when I'm dead. Unfortunately, you will die a whole lot sooner if you say that, which is very ironic, but it sucks, but it's true. So, and this is the funny thing, like it is the easiest thing anyone could start doing tonight. Just improve your sleep quality. Set a consistent bedtime routine and a consistent morning routine. This alone could help accelerate your fat loss endeavors. It is the easiest thing no one is willing to do. Baffling. Absolutely, like it's insane. Now, once again, late caffeine reduces sleep quality, even if you fall asleep. So even if you do fall asleep, the quality of your sleep will be very poor. And now poor sleep increases your ghrelin, decreases your leptin, and elevates your hunger. So here's my rule. No caffeine after early afternoon. It is simple, but massively impactful. Now, the 9th micro habit, stress offload ritual. Stress, as we all know, drives emotional eating way more than hunger. Who here has experienced emotional eating? You're stressed at work, you're going through a stressful phase in life, maybe with your relationship, maybe with your partner, maybe with just something personal going on. Guess what you revert to? You revert to food because food is comforting. And guess what? You eat ice cream, you eat cookies, and you end up binging on your diet. Why? Because you're stressed. It all comes down to stress. You weren't hungry, right? Like you weren't like starving and you're like, oh, I need ice cream in order to survive. Like, no, of course not. Most people gain fat because they stress eat or they just eat because it's comforting. It's nice. It tastes good, right? And now don't get me wrong, like most of these foods are very delicious and very easy to overeat. Like they're literally designed to make you overeat them. So once again, knowing that stress drives emotional eating way more than hunger, instead of relying on willpower, create a stress release ritual. Because I'll be honest, like it is very difficult to be stressed out and then just tell yourself that, oh, I'm not gonna eat food right now, because relying on willpower, especially when you're stressed out, is very difficult. So here's a couple of things that you can start doing as a stress release ritual. Instead of reverting to food right away, go on a walk, journal, write down your thoughts, go into the sauna, take a cold plunge, do a cold shower. Some of these you may have immediate access to, some of them you probably won't. But yeah, journaling, writing down your thoughts, taking a cold shower, journaling, like all these things you should have immediate access to. And if you could just, at the very least, revert to that first and then go into the food, you're likely gonna not eat as much food. And I think if we stop using food as like this comforting thing and use other things instead, I mean, obviously you're gonna be saving thousands of extra calories and your likelihood of getting fatter are gonna be far, far slimmer. Now, one entrepreneur, obviously entrepreneurs are stressed out. One of our clients could not stop snacking at night. Now, what we did instead is we added a 10-minute walk after work to de-stress, right? So instead of going straight from work back at home and being stressed out, go from work to maybe like a 10-minute walk. So drive home, instead of going right into your kitchen, right into your house, go on a 10-minute walk around your block or something, or stop on your way home from work at like a park or something. Go on a 10-minute walk just to de-stress. And guess what happened? Snacking disappeared because stress was the driver. Now, here's my closing message to you guys. Getting shredded isn't about doing extreme things occasionally. It is about doing small things consistently. Micro habits, all these 9 micro habits that I just listed out, they compound. And over months, they create a lean, shredded six-pack ab identity for yourself. Because the people who stay lean, they aren't more disciplined. I am not more disciplined than you. I don't not have more willpower than you. They just live differently in small, subtle ways that may not seem like a huge difference on a daily basis. But these micro habits, they stack up. They compound over time, just like the stock market, and pay dividends every single day. Now, if you need help losing 30 to 50 pounds, all without sacrificing your favorite food, spending hours in the gym, you can schedule a free consultation call with me down below, where we will go over your current goals, so see exactly how much body fat you're looking to lose. We'll go over your current struggles, so see exactly what's holding you back right now from losing that body fat, and we'll create a game plan, a system, a set of behaviors, habits that makes fat loss inevitable so that you lose it and keep it off for good. If that sounds good to you, the link will be in the description down below, and I'll see you all there. Peace.